mine since I got my start at Community Counseling Center many years ago. She's the Community Outreach and Marketing Director, and she's been part of our Stamp Out Stigma program since we started it in 2014. Please give a warm welcome to Ms. Fern Torok.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here once again. The only thing that Tony did leave out is that I too am a Penn State alum, both undergraduate and graduate. So we are. As Tony indicated, I had the fortunate, it feels like a gift that Value Options put in my lap in May of 2013. We were looking for a way to educate the public a bit more and to encourage people to get treatment. And in a newsletter, I spotted the Stamp Out Stigma initiative from Value Options Behavioral Health. From there, it has grown. They were kind enough to allow us to use the logo, which is green on purpose, for health and wellness. And the PowerPoint is there, so I take no credit other than the last page that has some local resources. So that's how it began. From there, today is number 106 as far as the number of SOS presentations. Tonight will be number 107. And the amount of people that have heard this message is over 157,000 people locally. So a lot has been happening in the past 2 years. May I ask the people that have heard kind of my presentation before to raise their hand if they would, just with a little PowerPoint. All right, can you stand up if you're not already, and if you're standing, put your hand up. Go ahead, stand up. I want to get a sense of kind of how many have heard this before. Kind of the overview of some of the numbers. Okay. I would say, keep standing. I would say in a group of this size, I was trying to count, we've got at least 50 or 60 people. You better multiply the number that stood up by 2 to get the number of adults in the United States that would qualify for a mental health diagnosis every year. If we have 60, that's 15, and there's maybe 7 or 8. So during the last year, these people that are standing met the criteria through the DSM-5 for a mental health diagnosis. Both Dr. Carrick and Tony alluded to what would your reaction be hearing that? Would it be cuckoo? Off the rocker? You can sit down. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Shell-shocked is a term from decades ago. Psycho. Crazy. Lulu, it goes on and on and on. And although we have done a lot in the past 5 years, stigma does, in fact, exist. I was reminded of this on Saturday, 4 days ago Saturday. I was at a restaurant, a public restaurant, 2 hours east of here. And this is what was posted publicly in the restaurant. It was above where the employees go back to the kitchen. So I think they probably intended for it to be a joke. But what if you were the one, or your family member was the one, that had a diagnosis of schizophrenia, a psychosis, and they suffered from auditory hallucinations that inhibited their ability to work and to socialize, and they had to be on medication consistently to keep those auditory hallucinations at bay? How would that make you feel in a public restaurant? I didn't approach them, but I will. Let's move ahead to some of the statistics that you may have heard before. I already talked about in a group of 60, there would be 15 adults that would qualify for a mental health diagnosis. So that's every year. The lifetime prevalence, we would have to have 30 people stand up. 1 out of 2. So look to the person at your left, look to the person at your right, and somebody very close next to you, or you yourself, is going to have a mental health diagnosis, either within the last year or within the lifetime. Now we know that people that have physical health illnesses tend to get treatment. People that have mental health illnesses do not. 30%. When I do this with adolescents, I often say, okay, you guys, you all broke your femur, 3 of you. Who's getting treatment? And of course they all do. I say, all right, well, one of you's depressed. You know, you're all depressed. Who's getting treatment? Just one of them will. So that's something we have to change. People have to get treatment. The wonderful news is just below that. Of the people that do get treatment, 90% make substantial improvements in their life. That's a pretty good outcome. So we just need to encourage people to get to treatment. It gives you some information there about the cost related to the work environment. Sometimes people can't even get to work, so it's absenteeism. Or if they go, they're preoccupied or careless. So you maybe have workplace injuries or loss of productivity. People can't concentrate. So those are the numbers that I really wanted to go over and remind you about quickly. And then these are some of the reasons that stigma impacts mental health. And then the wristbands that we talked about, the green SOS wristbands. What you see bolded there is recognize, re-educate, and reduce the stigma. Those are the 3 R's. There are some wristbands here that you can get. Tony has some of those available. They're over at the end of the pizza table. And lastly, I will leave this up as some local mental health resources. You know, in addition to Tony, that's easy. Tony's right here, and he's extraordinary. I can tell you that. If you're not sure where to go, call 211 and get help. There's also a warm line, not a crisis line, but a local warm line. So there are resources. So speak up on your own behalf or on someone else's behalf. Okay, next, I would like to introduce Jack Luchetti, and I call him the pioneer of SOS at PSU because he's the bridge that brought it from the Community Counseling Center down here to Penn State, and he is the catalyst in it occurring for the past 5 years. So Jack Luchetti is instrumental in this program being offered here again today and again this evening. Thank you.